I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. July 21st, 2022. Please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, adequate notice of this meeting was advertised in the Asbury Park Press and the Beacon on January 22, 2022, and by posting the notice in the Forked River Post Office and the local Harbor Post Office, and by filing a copy of notice with the Lacey Township Clerk as required by the Open Public Meeting Act. Roll call, please.
Mr. Armato?
Present.
Mrs. Claus?
Here.
Mr. Peters? Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes, I'm here.
Mrs. Downing?
Here.
Mr. Scanlon?
Here.
Mr. Polino?
Present.
Whereas the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4, is designed to ensure that decision-making government bodies in the state conduct their business in public, except in specific circumstances where exclusion of the public is needed in order to protect the privacy of individuals, the safety of the public, or the effectiveness of government in such areas as negotiations or investigations. And whereas in such circumstances, a closed or executive session may be held without public notice or during the course of a public meeting, provided that the subject matter of the executive session is covered by the law. Therefore, be it resolved that an executive session be convened for the purpose of discussing confidential student matters, including but not limited to harassment, intimidation, and bullying, confidential legal matters, including but not limited to the current caseload, confidential personnel matters, including but not limited to collective bargaining. The subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality subsides. The length of the executive session is estimated to be approximately 90 minutes. The board shall reconvene and proceed with business at 7:30 p.m. Action may be taken. Motion?
Move. Second.
Okay. All ready, folks? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay in getting back, but unfortunately we had business we had to take care of. But again, my apologies for keeping you waiting. So we're going to continue now. I'll just pull out my agenda real quick. Okay, so we're going to continue, and we're going to start with report of the superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Board President Polino. Can everybody hear me? No. No? Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk a little louder. Okay. All right. All right, I hope everybody is enjoying summer and the beautiful weather we've been having, albeit a little hot, but it's summer. So we're a month out now from our graduations, and so I always take the opportunity at our July board meeting to once again congratulate all of our class of 22 graduates and all of our 8th graders that were promoted and are ready, Mr. King, right, to become freshmen here at the high school. I also just want to commend administration. This is the second year that we're running our Summer Enrichment Academy, so we have close to 300 students participating, and the students are taking classes, summer music programs, bridge to algebra classes, high school credit recovery, and just academic enrichment classes. And so I want to thank Mr. Zielinski, Mrs. Amos, and Mr. Dowd for putting that program together. And also thank you to our teachers because they're out there teaching every day, Monday through Friday. In addition to that, our extended school year program is also running. And we have approximately 250 students in our extended school year program also running Monday through Friday. So lots of good things going on in the summer. We are working hard to get our schools open for September. And in August, I'll report out on our progress. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Zielinski because we have some special guests in the audience. Girl Scout Troop 50249. So, Mr. Zielinski, if you can welcome our guests.
And I'd like to, it's my pleasure to welcome them. I just talked to them up here. I'll read a little blurb about them. Lacey Township Girl Scout Troop 50249 is proud to announce that all 6 of their members have received their Bronze Award, which I just found out bronze, silver, gold, which would equate to Eagle Scout for boys. Girls get gold status. So that's pretty exciting. Am I messing you up now?
No, I got it.
Oh, you got a picture? Awesome. That's good. So the girls completed their project for their bronze award, the Lacey 150 movie. It is on YouTube. That's where I found it. It's over an hour and a half. I admit it, I got through about 45 minutes of it. It's all people that you all know from town. It's like really interesting interviews, in my opinion. You guys said it starts better than ends, but I think it's really good from what I saw. It was great, nice job. We're working with many members of the town, including the mayor, business owners, school officials, and residents to help tell the story of Lacey Township and what the town meant to people as they celebrated the 150th anniversary in 2021. So that was pretty good. The girls worked through quarantine to research, interview, and edit a video that was shown at one of the Lacey 150 events in their anniversary year. The girls showed initiative, hard work, and dedication, and learned valuable lessons about time management, project management, and interview techniques. The girls were recognized for their achievement at a ceremony held by the Girl Scouts of the Jersey Shore, June 8th, and received their pin, which will be featured on their vests throughout the remainder of their scouting years. And 4 of them are in attendance tonight. You girls can come. We have certificates. Oh,
We do.
go to Dr. Ferrer, so you're going to come down this way. Dr. Ferrer, would love to recognize your teacher. So we have Ariana Azar. Raise your hand. Yep, in the back. Very good. Victoria King. Which one's Victoria? Victoria King. Reedy Sanguinetti. Did I say it right? And then Nisa Voorhees. Nisa Voorhees. Not in attendance is Briella Batone and Sophie Sterling. Also help them.
So I think what we're going to do is we'll post their video on our website so that the community can take a look at it.
All right, we'll get Mr.
Great
Lyon
job.
on that. He's our boss. Our video. All right, awesome. Great job, girls. Summer reading to do, so you're going to go. Is that right, Mom? You're going to go do summer reading? So thank you for coming. And now we're really glad to recognize you. Thank you. All right.
Good job.
Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Nice job, girl.
Thank you.
I don't care. Every time someone do it, I'm walking here.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice, okay. Did he leave?
All right, so congratulations again to our Girl Scouts. They did a phenomenal job, and we will post that video. It's rather long. We were going to show a clip of it tonight, but like I said, it's just better if you watch the whole thing. As soon as Mr. Zielinski gets back, he is going to give us a curriculum update and talk to us a little bit about where we are with that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and do the resolution.
Sure.
You want to
Want to
wait?
read it now?
Okay.
You want to go over there and do it? Tell me.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
All right, no. So curriculum update?
So curriculum's going well. We're at the stage now where our teachers who are building curriculum, some of them are here. They build their curriculum. It goes through a review process through our district supervisors, ultimately myself. So the plan, and plans are a little subject to change when you're dealing with over 100 curriculums. The curriculum committee will get their first look at the curriculums at our meeting, which I believe is August 11th, is our next curriculum committee meeting. Our hope would be that either prior or near the next board meeting, we'll post, we're going to do a video so people can navigate our Rubicon Atlas, because what we do is we give you public access to our curriculums. We always did. Although we kind of discovered there's a little bottle in it, we only had the cores up, but we'll have them all up as they're being built. The ultimate goal of curriculum is going to be we approve all curriculums at least by the September board meeting. It's always been our goal to do that. We do that every year. All right, we'll post them up, and of course, because it was promised, we'll post some forums to talk about especially comprehensive health and phys ed, and we'll also include other curriculum in there as people want to ask questions about it. Okay, so we'll have them up. We'll start getting that going probably mid-August, but of course, curriculum committee gets first crack at it to make sure that it's something to get on those. All right, good?
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Zielinski. All right, that concludes my comments tonight, but Mr. Polino, I believe you have some good news to share.
Well, I'll let you share and I'll read it. How's that?
Okay, all right. So for quite some time, the board has been talking about naming our football field here at Lacey Township High School. And we've gone around, we've had discussions about it, and we finally landed at a great place. And so we've created a resolution that Board President Polino is going to read. This resolution is going to kickstart the process of what it is that we're going to be doing in the fall. So there's going to be much more to come, but we're considering this resolution that Board President Polino is going to read the start of this project that's going to kickstart what's going to happen.
Okay, great. Mr. Vasillo, Coach Vasillo was invited here. He's not in attendance, so Mr. King is going to, once we read it, accept his resolution?
Right.
Great, so I'll just sit right here and read it then. So whereas the Staff Administration and Board of Education of Lacey Township School District are pleased to announce the naming of the Lacey Township High School Athletic Complex as Versillo Stadium in honor of longtime Lacey Township High School head football coach and teacher Louis A. Versillo. And whereas Louis A. Versillo has served the Lacey Township School District since he was hired on September 1st, 1981 as a physical education teacher and head football coach. In those roles, Mr. Versillo has always displayed dignity and respect for the positions to which he holds in the Lacey Township School District. And whereas Louis A. Versillo, throughout his service of 42 years to the Lacey Township School District as a teacher, mentor, and coach, has received numerous accolades, which includes 304 varsity wins to date. And whereas Coach Louis A. Versillo has led his players to 4 New Jersey State Championship, 15 conference titles, and whereas Louis A. Versillo instills integrity, hard work, loyalty, pride, and most of all, tradition in all of his players. And whereas Louis A. Versillo, because of this lifetime of distinguished work, has received many achievements over the course of his career, including membership to the Shore Football Coaches Foundation Hall of Fame in 2012 and the NJ Football Coaches Association Ray McCran Lifetime Achievement Award in 2018. And whereas Louis A. Versillo has worked tirelessly through the Lacey Football Foundation to allocate over $850,000 to the Lacey Township School District facilities, athletics, and students through the Lacey Football Foundation. And whereas Louis A. Versillo has earned a deep appreciation and respect from the entire Lacey Township School District community, now therefore be resolved by the Lacey Township Board of Education, County of Ocean, New Jersey, State of New Jersey, that the board does hereby take formal action to name the Lacey Township High School Athletic Complex Versillo Stadium, dated this 21st day of July, 2022. Want to get that?
I will, yeah. On behalf of Coach Versillo, I just want to thank you all sincerely as a former player, former coach, now as administrator. I've been with him for many of his years here in the district. So he is a humble man, he is a proud man, but his focus has always been and always will be the players on the field. So as much as he will appreciate this, it's not who he is. And it's kind of an interesting dilemma for him. So on behalf of him, I accept it, and I'll make sure he gets this. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And just to conclude, I know Coach Versillo is at football practice right now, which is why he couldn't be here. That's how dedicated he
I actually
is.
spoke with him, and he pointed to the players in the field and said, this is why I'm here. It's hard to argue. It's just hard to argue that.
Yeah.
So
So there
there's more
will,
to come, as you said. There's
yes.
a lot of celebrations planned, and you will get those, and you will get the recognition he deserves.
Yep. And so we'll have a formal ceremony in the fall, and of course, invite Coach Versillo, his athletes, his family, and all of that will be announced to the public when it's due to happen. That concludes my comments. Just wishing our families a restful remainder of the summer. A lot of people say after 4th of July, summer is over. I beg to differ. We have quite a bit of summer left, because if that were the case, we'd all start to panic, because schools do have to open, and they are going to look fantastic when we get there. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burr. Okay, at this time, we're going to have, we'll open the floor to public comment. An audience member wishing to make a comment will raise his or her hand, and when called upon, state their name, address, affiliation, intention to make a statement. Comments will be addressed to the board president. Comments will be made on one issue at a time. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes. No audience member shall be recognized twice until all who have wished to comment have been recognized. This portion of the meeting is for public comments only. There will be no questions answered. The purpose of this board meeting is to perform our business in public. Everyone is entitled to a public comment. If there is a question for the board, there is an established chain of command to follow. At this time, anybody wishing to speak? Lady at the back.
Hi, Anne Marie Leiter, Woods of Bamber. I know it's comment, but honestly, I have a question, and I came like 10 after 6. I don't know if it's about the curriculum. What are they calling this? Comprehensive health?
Health and PA standards.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Comprehensive health.
Yeah, so I know that there are other school districts that are clustering, if they choose to implement it. If they choose to implement it, they're kind of clustering it at the end of their school year, literally like the last couple of days. I know I've expressed an interest in knowing, obviously, what you guys are going to be voting on. And then furthermore, if you do choose to implement any of that information, as far as opting out or opting in, I'm not letting my daughter participate in that sort of information. That's my job as her parent. We'll leave that alone. What is the plan, and have you guys thought of what are you going to be teaching them if you guys choose to do it and I'm opting out of it? I'm sure we as parents can come up with a few suggestions. How about teaching kids how to sign their name? Yes. How to address an envelope, how to compose a letter, maybe, how to boil water, how to write a check, basic stuff. I don't know. But I pray first that you guys not implement that sort of language into our children's heads. And I see you shaking your heads, yes, you're agreeing, but sometimes we agree and then things happen anyway. So I hope that that's what you're going to do, is not put that language in my child's head. And then secondly, I hope that, if for some crazy reason y'all decide that, oh, well, we have to be fair, like the barkers or whatever those kids are that are barking in school, the furries, well, they have to be considered pets, whatever. If you choose to implement that, then I hope that you're going to come up with a plan, Mr. Zielinski, and the curriculum committee, whoever else is on it, to teach something. Because if I find out that my kid, if I choose to opt out, if you guys do it, is sitting in a study hall, that's going to disappoint me in a huge way. I like to think I'm a team player. I'm trying hard to get on board with whatever you guys are doing. But, I, again, know that it's not answer, it's comment. So, Mr. Polino, I understand the chain of command. I respect it. So I'm done. But I really want to know. I don't want to learn when after the curriculum people meet in August that this is what's happening. Because I'm going to be upset. I don't want to get upset. I got enough stuff going on.
And
so,
Ms. Leiter,
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure Dr. Pereira will probably address some things that you asked for or said.
When, tonight?
Yeah, she has another comment, so I'm sure she'll probably address something in that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, Lacey citizens. Richard Bidnick, Fork of the River. Before I start my comments, I want to make a point. I know that my remarks can be quite critical at times, which they are meant to be, because the only way one can truly reflect is by having criticism, both positive and negative. You can never improve unless you have it. And as a taxpayer, and an educator and someone who values excellence, I will never waver from this point. And some of the stuff I'm going to say is going to be quite critical. One, at the last board meeting, and this is brought up to me by several parents, so this is part of the reason why I'm bringing it up. The meeting was extremely long. We've had a lot of extremely long meetings. It was totally inappropriate, in my opinion, at this venue, to parade over 200 athletes at a board meeting. This is an official business meeting of the board. This is not a prep rally or something for the students. In fact, it's unfair because all those people were made to come here to a meeting at night, and all their peers really weren't here to honor them. So I think another venue would be more appropriate, and it also would cut down on the time of these meetings if you started doing these Student of the Month events at school so all of the students can participate. It's kind of, you're cheating the students by doing it the way you are. And some of us actually feel that it's being used by the board or administration or both as some sort of propaganda, as showing that you're actually putting something of quality out. Now look, if athletics is what is really important to you, then this school district is the right one for you. I mean, you guys have a really good sports program. If academics is your priority, which it should be, then you probably should be looking elsewhere. Might be better to change the school district's names, actually, to the Lacey School of Athletics. Would even be nice to have seen you parade around the top 10 graduates of the class of 2022 for academics. Many of us would like to salute them for their excellent academic achievements. After all, this is about education and not extracurricular activities. 2, I implore this board to remove Mr. Polino as board president immediately.
Never.
We have a serious bullying problem here in our school district. Having a person such as Mr. Polino, who is not only a bully and a harasser, but someone who defames and slanders members of the public, sets a horrible example for our community and school, and most importantly, our students. On top of this, Mr. Polino's charging 4 private citizens and 1 elected official with criminal offenses earlier in the year shows the man is quite divisive and unapologetic about it. He and the board could also be liable for malicious prosecution of 4 private citizens for his actions, may I add. I know he had help from another member of this board because one of you sitting up there at the dais took pictures of members of the public that Mr. Polino tried to use as evidence against them. It's time for this school district to either put up or shut up. Concerning all of the bullying problems that have been revealed, and make the decision that we are not going to allow our board president to set such a horrible precedent. If you don't remove Mr. Polino, then I guess the board is saying to the public and to the students that Mr. Polino's behavior is perfectly fine. And if the man at the top can get away with it, so should everybody else. It really is time, and I seriously mean this, to put up or shut up. You can't have it both ways. So start reflecting and start setting an example. And maybe the public might start believing you when you say you take these issues seriously. But I'm not going to hold my breath. 3, just because this is a public school does not mean we have to settle for below mediocrity in academic achievements. I get the feeling, though, after attending these meetings for all these years, that members of this board are just fine with it. Goals and
Thank you for your time, Mr. Bidnick. You're done. You're done. 5 minutes. Thank you.
Next.
Excuse me? Ma'am?
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Melody Pryor. I'm a resident here of Lacey Township. I have a question regarding agenda question number 22. If you could please explain what the reunification entails. Is this for after an emergency situation for the parents to reunite with their children? Or is this a necessarily maybe a program for a student or a child who is showing behaviors that are maybe, I don't know how to word it, but showing that maybe something is developing in that child?
It was
Where
the
maybe
first.
they need-
It was the first.
It was the
It's for a
first
crisis
reunification.
situation.
Well, so if the emergency happens in the school?
It's
So
the
get
true
the
meaning of the
parents
word
and
reunification, yes.
Okay, so you have a plan that's being put in order that you already have it done, or you're working on it?
No, it's upcoming.
It's upcoming, wonderful. Will that be done before the school year starts? Yes, okay, wonderful. I also, if I may, have a question on number 22. I did not understand, I'm sorry, I didn't bring my agenda or my packet with me, but I did not understand this motion at all. So if someone could please.
Which one?
Which one was it?
Number 20, excuse me, number 27.
27 of what? And I'll have, we'll look at it. Rest.
Bilingual waiver?
Yeah, the bilingual waiver. Move the board to approve submission of the NJDOE, Lacey Township
No, just, if you can hold on.
bilingual waiver for the year.
Number 27. Right there.
Page 8, page 8, 27. Yeah, go ahead, just,
But what is your question on the waiver?
she wants to know what,
I don't understand what it is, so my question is if you could clarify what that motion is.
You're required to provide bilingual education in the state of New Jersey
Okay.
by code. However, when you have less numbers than other districts may have, you apply for a waiver. So what we do, we apply for a waiver so that we give them intensive instruction instead of bilingual instruction. So they get a heavy amount of time immersed with a ELL teacher.
Okay.
2 periods a day, typically, so it's about 80 minutes a day, trying to up their skills with English.
Wonderful. And right now that
So we
is-
apply for a waiver every year because
Every
we
year you
don't
have to
teach
do it.
bilingual.
every year you have to apply for a new waiver.
Correct, and usually it's on a 3-year plan, or in the middle of a 3-year plan, but you do that waiver every year.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good questions.
Mr. Senza?
Regina DeSenza, Sunset Drive, Sunrise Beach. At the beginning of this meeting, Ms. Sylvia read the statement for private session. So I understand in May, Mr. Bidnick had made a comment, part of which I agree with for sure. The exclusion of the public is not needed to discuss board members' actions and activities. It is a fact that board members are not personnel. Board members are not employees. And therefore, if there needs to be any discussion about a board member, it needs to be in public. On May 6th, Mr. Giordano gave testimony at the Ocean County District 3 Attorney Ethics Committee hearing. He testified that 5 board members, one of which was himself, gave Mr. Supsey permission behind my back while I was his client. All 7 board members are clients. If you and the other 3 people involved in that situation had to discuss something about me or my activities in the 2019 election, should have been done here in public. Now, I'm going to give you 2 examples. When I had to do the same thing about a board member who was always chronically absent, I had that discussion in public. And then, in December of 2019, there was the instance when Mr. Giordano spent over $5,000 in taxpayer legal fees to investigate me behind my back. That discussion should have been in public. And you know, now that's a source of contention with everyone. And now there's a suit still pending for October hearings that have incurred almost $100,000 $50,000 in legal fees for something that was sneakily done behind my back. The insurance is almost depleted. I hope everyone's proud of themselves.
Anyone else?
Can I come back up?
Nope.
Jessica DeLuca, Hetherington Court. So the listening and learning, I get up here every single month and say the same thing, that I do think that it's very healthy. It's just not happening enough, and there's really no consistency. I'm disappointed in one of the comments specifically at that meeting wherein we were speaking about transgender, and I had asked about the bathrooms in the elementary school, if there was going to be one specifically there. I don't have a problem with anybody's sexuality, but I don't believe that it should ever be in an elementary school. Should there even be something introduced to children that age? The comment was, well, it's not on the table, but it's not exactly off the table. I know you guys all have your own rules that you have to follow, but I feel like you guys are absolutely just taking all these little children's minds and just turning it to mush with all this extra stuff. It has to be, this whole health and sex ed has to be introduced in a different way. In the meeting back in May, I specifically said that I do not wish for any students to learn about anal sex. And later in Mr. Peters' comment, you specifically referenced me and said, Mrs. DeLuca, I want you to know that you do have the right to opt out. I should not have to opt out. As a board member, you should be standing up for my children, and you should be saying, no, board members, we should not be putting this even on our curriculum at all. And if you absolutely must, which you don't, because now I have, and I sent to Dr. Pereira a list of other towns that are not introducing this into their curriculum. They said no. They point blank said no. The others made people opt in. But you, Mr. Peters, should have not said to me, you have the reason, you have an opportunity to opt out. You should have stood up for my children and said, no, they should not have to opt in. They should not even have to read about this bullshit, because that's basically what it is. It's pure, you're taking away from our children's being children, and it's pathetic. The other thing Mr. Bidnick did indicate about these children coming in, I do understand you guys are proud of these children, and the children should be proud of themselves. But these meetings going until 11 o'clock at night is ridiculous. You guys don't want to be here either. The poor children here sat here for what, an hour and a half? They were recognized for almost a minute and a half. A minute and a half, and then they were paraded right out and pushed out because you guys have things on your agenda to do. That is unfair to the children. That is not recognizing these children. That is putting them through sitting here like idiots for an hour and a half. That's pathetic, actually. So you actually did a disservice to these children tonight. You did not recognize them in any great fare. I believe that is all I have for right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's always too cold.
Okay, to finish off where I left off, my third point was, just because this is a public school does not mean we have to settle for below mediocrity in academic achievements. I get the feeling, though, after attending these meetings for all these years, that members of this board are just fine with it. Goals and objectives should have been given to the superintendent a long time ago, with a critical timeline to show massive improvements, but I don't believe this has been done. Teachers should have performance evaluations attached to student achievement, something I have been talking about for years. Something the board could have negotiated in former contracts, but never did, when they are truly holding all of the cards. Teachers cannot strike in New Jersey, people. The board has all the power, but they refuse to exercise it. Again, doing all the taxpayers and stakeholders, parents and students a great disservice. I want to know what the plan is to make this school district an overachieving one. Where is the plan? Has anybody even had any thoughts about overachievement? Without this, nothing is going to change. The new grading system the administration plans on putting forward from K through 4 is a perfect example of what I call a lack of goals and objectives. My property values and every other taxpayer's property values are attached to this school district's success or failures. And believe me when I say it makes a big difference in what you can sell your house for when you are living in an overachieving school district versus an underachieving one. For this reason, again, I am stating to the parents who truly care about their child's education, send your children elsewhere if you are able. Your children have one shot at life. Don't mess it up for them, and do what's right by them. And for those that can't, if you can't get people to run for this school board to make a change, you have no one else to blame but yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on. Board committee reports. Let's start with finance.
Sure.
This is,
Thank you. The Finance Committee had 2 meetings this month, and I'll go over briefly or in detail what we spoke about. We spoke about the wrestling room. A lot of the wrestlers have been coming to a lot of the meetings, and they want to renovate and make their wrestling room bigger by knocking down a wall into classrooms that aren't up to code. Our architect, Ted Hopkins, and an architect representing the wrestling team came to our finance meeting, and they both had different viewpoints on what was acceptable, what was up to code, and what was not. At the end of the meeting, we decided that the state will come in and give a determination if it's a renovation project or if it's a new project. So we'll keep the public totally informed of what is going on with that and the next steps. We talked about the football field again. We talked about right now we cannot look at getting turf because it's a $1.5 million project, and right now we are facing a lot of cuts. We're facing insurance premiums going up in January. We'll find out the total amount Monday, but insurance might be going up 15%. So right now, there's no money to put for turf. We also discussed using the football field for lacrosse, field hockey, soccer, so they could at least have their senior nights there, or at least have 1 or 2 games using the football field under the lights to get more use of the lights. We discussed solar, and we're going to continue talking about solar in the next few months about what we're going to do once that runs out. We talked about a preschool expansion program, and there's a grant due by August 9th. So the committee's still planning and exploring options to see the feasibility of this program. And if we did it or if we didn't, it would have to be beneficial to the preschools in the town and to us. And that'll be discussed more at the next meeting, and the grant, and that'll have to do with the redistricting committee that will meet next week. We talked about a grant writer. There's been a lot about a grant writer bringing in grants to the district. Obviously, we didn't have money in the budget for this budget to hire a grant writer. So our new assistant business administrator, what's Jen's last name? Napatano, sorry, she's brand new. She will be in charge or leading the charge on having community volunteers help write grants for the district so we can bring in more money. So she will be reaching out to different members of the community and getting them involved to help bring in grant money. We talked about the budget calendar for the 23-24 year. We talked about we had to hire a new LLD teacher for Forked River School and a part-time paraprofessional. Our numbers were higher, and according to the state, you have to hire another teacher if there's a certain amount of students in a classroom. We talked about a behavior analyst between hourly and contractually, and that's still in the negotiations process. We talked about a discussion on all employees, administrators, staff scanning in and out of the buildings. We found that other districts are doing that. So if Mrs. Sylvia scanned in that she was at the district office, we would know where she was. So if there was a threat or something that had to do with security, we would know where the employees are at all times. Mr. King, wherever he is. So if something happens in one school, we need to know who was in that school. So it's just something we're exploring, and we're getting the policy from other schools that presently use the scanning in and out. We discussed our website, and we want to comply with Executive Order 3094. We need to make the website and the board minutes and the board agendas compliant with the, with the ADA. So everybody can go on our website and be able to listen to it if they can't read off of it. So we're going to keep 2 years of agendas and board minutes, and they're going to be ADA approved. And if anybody wants to see a board agenda or minutes from further than 2 years back, they can still get them through an OPA request. We talked about subscription busing. Tonight in the meeting, we're going to approve a tiny, tiny increase that's due to gas and, you know, the fuel charges going up. And in the agenda, it'll show you what it would go up for individuals and families. The negotiations committee met, and tonight we're ratifying a one-year contract with the LTEA, and next week we're meeting with the union again to further discuss the 3-year contract. We're hoping to get that agreed upon next week. We're really, really hoping, so the teachers could come back with a contract. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. Polino.
Thank you, Ms. McAvoy. Curriculum?
Can I make comments?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sure.
Anybody have any questions for Mrs. McAvoy? I'm sorry.
Yes.
So, I know that we're having budget issues and we're making a lot of cuts. Last week or the week before, I sent an email out to my esteemed colleagues where I think it's a great idea for increasing enrollment and increasing revenue. And again, I ask you to think about this, is that we can develop a curriculum that children or students who are interested in agriculture, field maintenance, landscaping design, all these things that we can do, because to the left of us, people are very interested in agriculture. To the right of us, we have the water, and we have no marine-based classes. And if I was a kid in Barnegat or Manahawkin or Stafford or Toms River or wherever else, maybe, just maybe, I would want to go to school at Lacey Township because I'm interested in becoming a landscaper or a field designer or a marine biologist. And we're not taking advantage of that. We're looking at grant writers, and we're looking at this. We're doing the same thing over and over and over again. We need to get creative. We need to start running this district as a business. And the focus for everyone on this day should be is, how do we drive revenue back into the district? And we can't keep asking for money. And we have a great idea here that we talked about. It's gone nowhere. Grant writer's gone somewhere. But we have students, we have an enrollment problem, we have a budget problem, and we have 2 fixes right there. Let's bring kids in who are interested in those 2 things, and our enrollment will go up and the revenue will go up. It's not a bad place to be here in Lacey Township, and to do something different. Look, Richard, you talk about it all the time, right? Academic excellence. This is a part of driving academic excellence. This is a part about separating ourselves from other districts. And we really need to dive into this and figure out a way to implement this and start driving the revenue back to our school.
Right. And it was discussed, and the idea it's a great idea. We have to talk about what teachers are qualified to teach those subjects. We have to do a study to see how many people would be interested in it. So your idea definitely was discussed, and it's more curriculum also with,
Right.
it's more
understand
curriculum,
that.
but you weren't blown off, like it was discussed. And of course, we just need to have people that want it. We need teachers that can teach different subjects that they're not you have to be qualified to teach.
I want to also recognize you for getting varsity sports under the lights. I know that was important to you, and you got it done. Congratulations.
It's
on
not
getting it.
done yet,
The
but
team.
thank you.
Well,
But
the group
let's see
here
if
got
it
done.
happens, Mr.
But can you
Amato.
expand a little bit on what a behavior analysis person is?
Sure. Dr. Pereira, you would be better, but we have one on staff right now, and she gets paid hourly. So can you say exactly what that position does?
Right, it's a behaviorist. This person works primarily with our neediest students. An example would be our preschool autistic classes
Okay.
and other autistic classes.
Okay.
It's a very specific certification, and there are certain levels of the BCBA.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. That's it for me on that.
All right, thank you.
Don, I have a question.
Sure.
It's not really a question, it's more of a question for you, Dr. Pereira. Has anyone ever brought up from the wrestling, like a pole barn instead of converting the room?
Yes.
Has that ever come to light?
We did bring that up at the meeting,
Okay.
and Mrs. Del Vento was at our meeting also.
Okay.
And she said, I was thinking the same thing, because we
Oh.
were like, let's just build a, barn out back, and Mrs. Del Vento said, I've been thinking the same thing. So that has to be explored after Mr. Hopkins gets back with us with the
Yeah.
state.
If you can ask him that just the price difference of the HVAC units, because I think that's really what's holding us up. So if it's a smaller, separate
Well,
unit.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we did talk about it, like Mrs. McAvoy said, but we have to
Okay.
think about things like plumbing,
Yeah.
bathrooms.
Huge
Yeah, electric,
expense.
but-
Running utilities out to the building,
Just
cutting
the
up the parking
bathrooms,
lot, the
too.
water
Yeah.
lines, the main lines, the sprinkler systems.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of factors involved in
Handicap
that. Just
accessible.
building a pole barn.
Okay.
Thank
Just trying to give them another option.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Amato, I'd just like to comment on your comment to help you out a little bit there. You talked about the marine thing and the marine biology aspect of it. We already have that in the county. It's called MATES program down in the area down there, which is a school just for that. And as far as the landscaping aspect, I'm also on the County Vocational School Foundation. That landscaping program has been abolished due to low attendance factors for the entire county. They had 5 to 7 students in that program, and they eliminated that program due to lack of interest.
So the solution is just to keep asking for grant writers?
Well, what I'm saying is...
Let's not try something different?
No, it's not the solution. What I'm saying is...
We don't have it here in Lacey.
Are you going to let me answer your question? So what you referred to was marine biology program in the district, in the school. They already have that in the county, set up the programs just for that. It's a full-day academy. When you go to that program, your math, your science, your English, and your biology is wrapped in the curriculum of MATES, the marine aspect of it. The landscaping aspect of it, there was no attendance on it. It was abolished. They were down to 4 students and 2 instructors, and they eliminated the program entirely. That's all. I'm just trying to give you some
No, I
background
understand that,
information.
and I appreciate your feedback there, but I still think that we can do something different than a vocational school and mates. Not everybody wants to go to mates. Somebody may just want to come to Lacey Township and play basketball and study landscape design. Somebody may want to come to Lacey Township and play football and study oceanography. You know, that's what I'm getting at, is we have a kid who comes here every day from Point Pleasant to play basketball. He scored 1,000 points for us last year. He came here because it's a good school, he's academically doing great, and he's a great basketball player and a great kid. So why can't we get more of that here? Why not? What's wrong with that?
Okay, curriculum?
Okay. We met on Thursday, July 4th, Mrs. McAvoy, Mr. Polino, Dr. Pereira, and Mr. Zelinski. We first talked about field trip locations. Mr. Zelinski shared the entire list of field trips that are to be board approved, and additional field trips that are requested will be approved as needed, as they do not appear on the approved list. K-4 elementary calendar, that is on the agenda tonight, and and for board approval, and there may be still some minor personnel edits and a dress code edit for grades K through 4. Elementary social studies curriculum, we're removing that from the agenda tonight, I believe, or not?
Yes.
So we're postponing it?
We're tabling it.
Tabling it, so I'll move on then. The Division of Mental Health and Addictions Services Youth Leadership Grant. It's a grant for $4,405.30. It's a grant through the Municipal Alliance. The grant will provide for school advisors to meet with students in after-school groups to discuss adolescent addiction and mental health. And I think Mrs. Scanlon had a lot to do with that, with the Municipal Alliance getting that grant for us. High school and middle school safety net update, the whole board has reviewed it through policy. Mr. Amato and I met on Tuesday. And we are we're going to be approving tonight an update on the policy, with the policy committee on the safety net, lowering it from 60 to 55 for the high school and the middle school. There is no safety net at the elementary levels. School safety officer job description. Dr. Pereira led a discussion of updating the school safety officer job description for the upcoming school year, and it was also highlighted that the district will be adding a second SSO for the upcoming school year. We also met with our special ed CPAG group, representatives from that group at a meeting that with Dr. Bond, Joe Bond, and Mrs. Mallory, and the representatives, and we had a really good communication back and forth about things that are happening in special ed. Under LTEA, there's a new president. Mr. Ryan has stepped down. It's now Mary Jo Aichetta. Is she in the back? Because I can't see your faces. No? Okay. So we want to welcome and wish her a lot of luck in that position. Our next meeting is scheduled for August 11th. And I believe that's it. Anyone have any questions? Okay. Seeing none?
Okay. Policy?
Yep. Okay, we had a very lengthy meeting. It was myself, Mr. Peters, Ms. Downing, and Dr. Pereira. We started out with our grading policy, just like Linda mentioned. It was a Regulation 2624. Mr. Zielinski led the committee with updates regarding the data from 2022-2023 school year. The committee supports revising the regulation to the grading system to change it from 60 to 55. The regulation will be on tonight's agenda. Also, the administration is working on parameters to fit the criteria. So if they're working on good attendance to meet this criteria, and possibly like parent guidance meetings, just to make sure the kids are all on target. But we'll have further clarification as we get closer to next month. We also talked about policy 5460. It's a mandated policy, high school graduation. These revisions provide greater clarity regarding graduation assessment requirements for the class of 2023, 24, 25, and updates to the high school diploma criteria for out-of-school individuals. We discussed a mandated policy, 5541. It's an anti-hazing policy. This one's new. The new policy was developed from the Timothy Piazza Law, which went into effect in March 1st, 2022, and it requires public and non-public schools and middle schools to adopt an anti-hazing policy. The policy outlines the appropriate penalties for violation of the district's anti-hazing policy. It requires the district's anti-hazing policy to be applied to conduct on or off school grounds and requires notification of the district's anti-hazing policy to the school community. We discussed policy and regulation. This is mandated bias crimes and bias-related acts. Policy and Regulation Guides 8465. It's been updated to align with the Uniform State Memorandum of Agreement between education and law enforcement officials responding to hate acts and bias acts. So there were some name changes, some language changes, also school property to school grounds. That was one of them. Okay, so the next policy we're actually abolishing, it's 1648. It's our safety plan for healthcare settings in school buildings. That was a COVID policy. One thing we are taking from that policy is another mandated policy. It is 1648. 2048, record keeping for healthcare settings in school buildings for COVID-19. This is mandated. Strauss Esme developed this policy to address record keeping provisions required by the ETS, which is only a portion of the policy that we just are eliminating. The next policy we talked about is 2416. It's a postnatal accommodation for students. The policy guide has been developed for school districts to accommodate students who are returning to school after birth of their child and want to express milk or breastfeed their child during the school day. I believe we already do this in the nurse's office. The next policy is 2417. It's mandated. Student intervention and referral services. This policy was recently revised to address minor revisions. The policy now requires a school district to choose the appropriate multidisciplinary team approach, such as response to intervention or multi-tiered system model for planning and delivering the services under required administrative code. The next policy is 3161. It's revised, examination for cause. It has been rewritten to include updated language in the administrative code. Policy guides 3161 and 4161 address the process of a school district to use when the Board of Education superintendent want to require a physical or psychiatric examination of a school district employee whenever a staff member shows evidence of deviation from normal physical or mental health, to determine the staff member's physical and mental health to perform with reasonable accommodation for the position that he currently holds, or to detect any health risks for students or other employees. The last policy we talked about is policy 5122, and that's harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And this has been revised to align with the updates of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights law. The next thing we talked about in co-curricular, just that Dr. Pereira informed us the committee and all co-curricular clubs have been posted to advisors and will be board approved tonight. We also talked about naming of the football field. Dr. Pereira led a discussion. At the time, things were developing, but sounds good now. Safety and security, reunification summer training. Dr. Pereira informed the committee that the district will host a reunification training program for the entire DLT and teacher volunteers on August 24th and 25th. Next month, we have a few things we already have on the agenda. We're going to look into a volunteer policy for the students, maintenance and repair, which is mandated, and dress code grooming for support staff, which is mandated, revised for staff and students. And that is all.
That's it?
That's it. It was a long meeting. I think it was
Is that
3
it?
hours.
Anybody have any questions?
I have an ask.
An ask?
Yeah.
Go ahead, an ask.
I'd like the policy committee to start exploring a courtesy month or an act of kindness month. With all that stuff that we're talking about, harassment, intimidation, bullying, we're doing everything we can to make sure we get on top of that and making sure that we follow protocol when it comes to harassment, intimidation, and bullying. We recognize all kinds of months, and I think there wouldn't be a bad idea if we start implementing some kids and our students to start being nice to each other. And it'd be a really cool thing to see. I know these kids, I know a lot of them, and I know they're nice kids. And I know they're just the product of an environment. So since we're the environment, let's take charge of the environment, right? So one of the things I've talked to Dr. Pereira about, as well as some other board members, is let's look into what we can do to have our middle school students and our high school students to perform community service either in town or in the school as a graduation requirement, okay? So whether a football player has to work for the band, what's the best part of the football game besides the game? The band, right? That marching band does great thing for a football game. Maybe the football players have to now help them out at one of their events. It's an act of kindness. We talk about it all the time, but we do nothing about it.
So
Okay?
we have that on the agenda for next month. The
Outstanding.
volunteer
That's a volunteer.
policy. Yeah, so we can,
Is that what we're calling it, a volunteer policy?
well, we're going to look into it, see if we actually have one. If not, we can talk about creating one, talk to Strauss Esme. So that's on the agenda for next month.
Okay, outstanding.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, because one of the things is the legalities of it, if we are able to force students to do that. So I know the parochial schools can do things that we can't do, so that's something the policy committee's going to have to talk
Yeah, we'll
to
look
our
through it.
lawyers and everybody else involved. But it is a good idea. And I know in our schools that we do have awareness weeks and stuff like that, but yeah,
Red
it's
Ribbon Week, Red Ribbon.
okay. Anybody
It's
else?
only 1 week.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, do you have something?
No, you're still on committees, aren't you?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Never mind.
Did I miss something? All right, so with that, we're going to move on to Superintendent. Do you have any other comments?
I just want to follow up on one of the comments that was made tonight about the health and PE curriculum. And that is, our teachers are in the process of completing the curriculum guides. And then from there, we're going to give our parents the opportunity to review the curriculum. And then we're going to schedule those forums. So, and I forget which parent made that comment, but I know the summer's short, and we look at the calendar and we say, my gosh, we're running out of time, but we're going to make the time. So we'll be announcing those very soon, but our teachers are in the process, right, Mr. Zielinski, finishing up the revisions to our curriculum guides.
Well, they're still working on them, but they're working on them.
Right, so we're getting there. That's it.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay, board member comments. So start down there. Sal?
Okay. First, I'll start with congratulating Girl Scout Troop 50249. I'm definitely interested in seeing this little movie they put together on YouTube. Congrats again. That's a lot of work. Very good, very good. Also, congratulations to Coach B for a long overdue and well-deserved honor. I've gotten to know Coach over the years, and he's always been good to me and my family, and my boys, I think, are better boys because of their experience with him, and I take a lot of value in that. I've shared my thoughts along with Donna McAvoy, and it's a shame that we can't afford this turf field right now. But I think we have to figure out a way to do it, and I think this would drive a lot of revenue back into the district. If we can somehow, some way, figure out to put a multi-purpose field out at the newly named Versillo Stadium, the amount of revenue that can be driven into this district for tournaments on weekends. When you have a tournament, you have to charge for parking. And when you have a tournament, you have to charge admission. And when you have to have a tournament, you have to charge for entry fees. And we have a concession stand that we can utilize revenue from. We can sell swag, and we can do all these other things that can drive revenue to the district. I haven't been a board member for a long time. But I've enjoyed it, good, bad, or indifferent. It's been a learning experience for me. And nothing has deterred me from even doing my job even better than I think I can. Saying that, we need to start running this district like a business. The days of running it like a school board of education, we're over. It's over. We need to start running this as a business. We need to figure out ways to make the cuts that we're making. Okay, we did a good job with that, but now how do we make up for it? How do we make it up? We can't just go around and keep begging. It's not who we are, and it's not who we should be. And I think everybody on this board wants to do the right thing. And as far as academic excellence is concerned, I know the people on this dais, especially one person, who really wants this to happen. It does. She does want this to happen. And I know everybody on this dais wants it to happen. And there's so much going on right now, not as an excuse, but we got to get our priorities realigned. Academics should always be our top priority. But unfortunately, the crazy world has thrown a lot of curveballs at us that has made us take our eye off the ball. And we need to get our eye back on the ball, and that eye being academics. I have a son who does phenomenal in this school. I have another son who does great at this school, and I have a daughter who graduated from this school and is doing great in college. I can't give anybody else credit for that but Lacey Township Board of Education. So let's start working together. Let's start building this as a business. Let's start chipping away at all the deltas we have and start figuring out ways how we fill those deltas and start moving forward as a district together with one common purpose, and that's the kids. That's what we always say. So let's do it for them.
kids.
Thank you.
Thank you. Want to go down that way?
Yeah.
You or down there?
I don't care if you.
Go ahead.
All right, I don't have much to say. I just want to congratulate the Girl Scouts. That's quite an honor. We always hear of the Boy Scouts with the Eagle Scouts, and girls just work just as hard. I know my daughter is a Girl Scout leader for I think 5 troops or 4 troops, and the amount of work that goes in that the leaders do with these students. So I want to thank the leaders that were here tonight and congratulate the girls for doing an outstanding job. And I too can't wait to see the YouTube, get my coffee and sit and watch it. Yeah, Coach Versillo, great guy, and what you said about him Sal was really a nice compliment. It's well-deserved. I've always been of the mindset that we shouldn't name things after people if they're still alive. And I changed my mind over time about that because Lou really does deserve it. He's been the cornerstone of this school district. He's been here since it's opened, I believe, and he's been a very strong mentor for a lot of the boys and girls in the school district. So congratulations, and that's it for now. I have more, but I'll wait till next month.
Okay. Congratulations to the Girl Scouts. That's wonderful. They do so much for this community. I know through the food bank, they do so much with the food bank. There are all the events, and that's such an honor getting that gold award. Same thing with Coach Versillo. I, too, wanted to wait until he retired, but who knows if that will ever come. So, or who knows. So now's the time. The board is behind him. He's been a great role model, and I'm excited for September to honor him and put that name up there. Mr. Bidnick, I have been listening to you for 10, 12 years. Mr. Armato's saying how well his children did. My 3 children are doing phenomenal. Just once, say one positive thing. In 10 or 12 years, you've never said one positive thing. We're not bad people. We're trying. You just attacked Mr. Polino. You attacked me last year when I was board president. You attacked Mrs. Downing the year before when she was board president. We're not bad people. We're doing what we can, and just one positive next month. There's something good about this district you can come up with. There's got to be. A challenge. Okay, I'm done. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Conditioning works.
Go ahead, Mrs. Claus.
Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you. We've done with comments from you,
Okay.
please. Go ahead.
Here we go. Tonight, the board and the administration came together to honor an employee that has been the only head football coach in Lacey history, 42 years, and I cannot be more proud to honor Coach Lou Versillo tonight. On a personal note, I first heard his name mentioned in 1989. I had a friend at FDU that was asked to return to the high school to receive an Outstanding Football Alumni Award at the end of their year-end banquet. Moving forward to 1992, when Rob and I were dating, his name was brought up frequently around town and in our house from our closest friends. They told stories about their football years and frequently went back to visit Coach just to catch up. I did not fully understand the connection they had until my son played for him in high school. What I quickly learned is that Coach preaches loyalty, tradition, pride, grit, and most importantly, the brotherhood in all of his players. The Lacey football alumni have stood behind Coach all these years due to the fact they are his family. I have seen Coach act as a teacher, a mentor, and sometimes a parent to his players. I have watched Coach listen to his players in an office while they cry about family issues, encourage them when their grades are low, and I have heard from restaurants in town he pays for their meals when they cannot. He goes above and beyond just being a football coach. The naming means so much to our Lacey community. I am looking forward to the fall so we can all celebrate on the field. Congratulations, Coach. This is well-deserved. Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you going to let me go first before her? Because she says exactly what I'm going to say.
Say ditto.
I forgot last time that I was supposed to do that. You asked me.
So I'd just like to add on, Coach, congratulations, Coach. It's an awesome thing. I had the privilege to be one of his students back in the day when Lacey had driver's ed, and we went out driving together, and they had the car that we drove around together to get your permit. You used to do it at the high school here. And I remember driving out Lacey Road with him and driving with him. So congratulations. I also played football with him, phenomenal guy. And like Kim said, he's not just a coach. He'll call colleges and get kids signed up for colleges and scholarships and whatnot, and set things up for interviews from to go out to look at the schools and call different coaches, say, I got this guy, I got that guy, or whatever. So he goes above and beyond for that. So congratulations, Coach. That's going to be a great honor to see that when that happens. And the Girl Scouts, congratulations on your award, and that's it. Thank you.
you. Mr. Scanlon?
I'll start out by just saying that I think that Mrs. Downing and I had the same philosophy when it comes to naming things after people. As a rule, I would say that somebody should be retired or not with us anymore. However, I learned in English when I was in high school that it's the exception that makes the rule. And Lou Versillo is the exception. He is the person who probably violates that rule and says, no, it needs to be done now. It needs to be done while he's here, and I'm glad that we're the board that's doing it.
All right, Ed.
So, and congratulations to him. The other thing, I'd like to congratulate the Girl Scout Troop number 50 for the production of the film based on our township and its people. I look forward to seeing it. And chiming in with Superintendent, to the people who are concerned about our health program that's being developed. It's my understanding that whatever's decided in that curriculum will be presented, and the public will have input. Basically, the board will have to approve it. And I think that most of us feel pretty much the same way as the general public. I would hope that we could wait to see what's presented for our consideration before we judge it, reject it. Let's see it, look at it, criticize it, and criticize it heartily if it needs it. But let's not judge what people are doing before they're done doing it. I would hope that we can do that anyway. I'd also like to remind Mr. Zielinski that I asked you for a breakdown of HIBs by the schools. Just the number of each school for the year, the number of HIBs that came out of each individual school. I think Mr. Skip asked for it too. If you could. I was thinking about it, I thought I keep forgetting to remind you. And on the agenda tonight, under donations, I'd like to correct one item. The donation to the fishing club was from the Lacey Municipal Alliance, not the Township of Lacey. And I say that for a couple of reasons. First of all, it wasn't tax dollars. It was Lacey Municipal Alliance has its primary fundraiser, the 5K race coming up at the end of August, August 27th, and which funds donations such as the one to the fishing club to help they help to fund project graduation. Thousands of dollars worth of scholarships come from their fundraising efforts. And so for two reasons, I just want to give them credit where credit is due, and also not make it look like the township donated money that were tax dollars. Thank you.
Is that it?
Yes.
Ed, I promise you, we'll wait for you before we name something.
Yeah, I don't want to know it.
We'll wait, Ed.
I like that, was good.
Okay. Yeah, so just to reiterate, congratulations, Coach. A long time coming. I've known you for a long time. Not as a player. I never played football. I was a soccer person myself. But yeah, I've noted things you've done in this community and for this school. You've been here since the first brick was laid, and it's greatly appreciated all that you've done. And it's well-deserved, and I'm looking forward to the naming in the fall. It's going to be a good time. I know it probably pained Mrs. DeLuca and Mr. Bidnick having our Girl Scouts up here. I'd like to say I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry that we had them up here to celebrate their achievement. Certainly is a good thing. So congratulations to those girls. And the whole troop that does year after year move up the ladder to obtain those achievements. I really hate to waste my breath on you, Mr. Bidnick, because everything you say disgusts me. And, you know, as Mrs. McAvoy said, I've had the, I don't know, say pleasure of knowing you for 12 years when I was on the board. You came up here and said how, supposed to say good and bad. And like Mrs. McAvoy said, you never say anything good. Everything that comes out of your mouth is disturbing and critical, and it's disgusting, quite honestly. And I really don't want to address you, but you come up there and call me a bully. So because I stand up quiet, it's my time. Keep it to yourself. So I stand for rules and regulations, and that's what I sworn office to. So I'm supposed to be criticized and labeled as a bully because you and your entourage, including maybe an elected official, chose to go against the rules, quiet please, this is my time. You have a comment, you bring it up at your time. You chose to stand up there and injure the students and staff with delaying, suspending, and putting off their achievements, their goals, and our meetings, and wasted my time and the rest of the board time by coming back. So you label me as a bully because you won't take responsibility for your own actions. As typical, you and your little entourage will throw it back on us that we're the bad people. Why don't you look in the mirror and see who really the bad people are? Okay, so I'm not a bully. I stand up, and I promise you that if it arises again, I will stand up and do it again. Okay, and I do it as a private citizen. I'm not doing it as a school board president. And if I'm not on the board and I see you violating the rules here again, I will march right down to the court and I will do it again. Because you know what? You are not above the law, and none of the rest of your entourage is above the law. Okay? So I will do it again. It's not harassment. Charging you... Quiet. Charging you folks is not harassment. Okay? What you're doing here and what you come up to here and you do is harassment. Okay? What you do... Quiet, please. Thank you. Quiet, please. Thank you. My time, not public comment time. What you did up here, all of you, in the beginning of this year, was harassment. To this board, to the public. Stand up and own what you did. Okay? Don't label me as a bully. Don't label me as a bully. Okay? I will do it again. I promise you, I will do it again. And I still have a year to charge you again.
Why did you
Okay? Quiet, please. Thank you. I have a year to charge you again. So you think you got away with something the first time because the prosecutor felt bad for you, and that's the only reason why you got away with it? Okay? That's the only reason. He felt bad for you. I don't feel bad for you or anybody else who stands up here and violates anybody's rights. Okay? So were you projecting your goals and your means and your ways and your opinions on me and the rest of the people? Okay? It's unacceptable to me. And I will do it again if I have to when time arises. Okay? So you asking me to step down, you're asking me to step down, you're out of your heads because I stand up for what's right and what's wrong? Yeah, that's all you have because you people were in violation. So the fact of the matter is, I am not the bully. So whether you believe that or not, I don't care, but that's my comment. And whether you like it or not, it's my opinion, I have it. I don't care what you think. But yeah, that's fine. So whatever. With that, I want to thank our committees for their hard work this last couple months. We got more work to go. So we got some tough times coming ahead, and we're going to have to, I know Ms. Sylvia's really been working hard with us, and I want to commend her on, she stepped into this job, and she has really been a great fit, taking over for Mr. DeGeorge. So I'm really happy for, our decision on bringing her in. And with that, I'm going to concede to Mrs. McAvoy for spotlights on graduation.
Okay, as you know, every month we spotlight 2 students who graduated from the high school, and we are very proud of the accomplishments of our graduates. The first one is Luke Gauthiere. He was the class of 2018. He is a lifelong resident of Lacey. He graduated from the high school in 2018. During his high school career, he was on the High Honor Roll and a member of the STEM Academy for 4 years. Luke was also a 4-year varsity member of the wrestling team. During his junior and senior seasons, he was one of the captains. He finished first in the Shore Conference tournament, first in the district tournament, first in region tournament, and was voted the outstanding wrestler of the tournament. He placed 4th in the state championship in Atlantic City. He finished his career with 124 wins, 3rd in Lacey High School history. He further volunteered at the Lacey Elks and the Lacey Youth Wrestling Program. When he graduated from the high school, Luke attended the United States Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York, after an extremely challenging selection process. Luke was nominated by USMMA by Senator Robert Menendez and Congressman Donald Norcross. Luke entered his first year as a plebe candidate, ultimately becoming a midshipman. During his 4 years, he was a member of the Marines wrestling team. Luke was also involved in the Marine Option Program, the Restoration Club, KP Lift, and the Auto Club. During Mission Critical Sea training, Luke served as an engine cadet above the Maris Galena the Alliance Norfolk, and APL, President Cleveland, traveling to various countries throughout the world: Oman, Djibouti, UAE, Dubai, Pakistan, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, Jordan, Spain, Egypt, India, Japan, China, and Korea. Luke graduated from the USMMA on June 18, 2022, with a Bachelor of Science degree in Marine Engineering. He further was sworn in as an officer in the United States Marine Corps with the rank of Second Lieutenant. Luke will fulfill his commitment of service on active duty in the United States Marine Corps. On August 5th of this year, he will again depart Lacey for Marine Corps Base Training Quantico in Virginia to begin the basic school training for 6 months. Upon completion of the TBS, Luke will travel to Pensacola, Florida to attend air flight school with the desire to become a Marine Corps pilot. So we're very proud of Luke and all his accomplishments. And Mrs. Downing?
And I'm going to do for Mrs. McAvoy, Billy Nally, the class of 2015. Billy Nally began taking drum lessons when he was 10 years old. Shortly after, he enrolled in the Rocket for Kids program at the Count Basie Theater, where he auditioned to play in bands with other students and perform in their showcases. His desire to play grew, and by the time he was a sophomore, he went to Nashville to take private drum lessons and further his resume. Billy graduated from Lacey Township High School in 2015. He also attended the Ocean County Votech School in Lakewood for the Audio and Electronic Media course. Here, he received an award for Outstanding Student under the direction of Bill Bork. After graduation, Billy moved to Los Angeles, where he began his professional drumming career in music. His band, the Rex, wrote and produced their first song, Favorite Liar, which hit radio stations and became their first hit. That song now has 41,914,368 streams on Spotify and is also played on the radio as well as other streaming platforms. Since that first song, the Rex have recorded 3 EPs, 2 albums, and a few singles. Their second EP, Panic Vertigo, hit top 10 Billboard recently. He has been on numerous U.S. and Canada tours and is currently finishing their headline Better Than Ever tour. Billy has been fortunate to play in great venues such as Webster Hall, Irving Plaza, and Gramercy Theater in New York City, the Fillmore in Philly, the Stone Pony in Asbury, and the Troubadour in Los Angeles, to name a few. The band has, God bless you, the band has over 1,286,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Their music can be heard on other platforms as well, such as Amazon and Apple Music. They are currently signed with the record label Big Noise and will be going out on another headline tour in the fall. So tune in to Spotify and listen to the Rex, and that's one of our own, Billy Nally.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Okay, go to resolutions. A1, motion for meeting minutes.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Roll call.
Have a good night.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. 2 through 3, ratification of final bills and list of bills.
Move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes, but I'm going to abstain on A2, bill number 9504460, payment to Mr. Zelinski. And on A3, I'm abstaining on bill number 174585 and 174589, payments to Pereira and Zelinski.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
And Mr. Polino?
Yes. A4 and 5, transfers. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
You have to abstain from
Do I have
ratification.
one? A4?
She's not on there, is it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm
Mr.
good.
S-
I'm
That's
good.
my, yeah, you're good, sorry.
Okay,
Mr.
no
Scanlon?
problem.
Yes.
And Mr. Polino?
Yes.
I was looking at the next one, that's here.
Which one, 6 through 14 for her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 6 through 14, so it's going to be finance stuff?
I'll move that.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
No, number 8, we're ratifying the memorandum of agreement with the LTEA in this.
Thank you. Roll call?
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
I have to abstain on number 8, the ratification of a memorandum of agreement with the LTEA, and yes on all the others.
Thank you. Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
And Mr. Polino?
Yes. We on 16?
Can we have a discussion on that?
Well, which one? What we just voted
Number
on?
11, please?
Well, we just voted on, but go ahead.
Mr. Peters, where are you?
Number 11,
11, repair.
the solar equipment.
Yes.
We'll wait.
Can we get a little update on that? What's happening with that within the Finance Committee and Facilities Committee?
Yes, so inverter number 3 is failed the beginning of June at the high school. If we don't repair it, we're losing SRECs. So if the cost to repair will help us in regenerating the SRECs. So it's beneficial for us to repair it.
And we're at where for the SRECs now? What are they up to?
We just sold at
$197?
$223 a rec.
What's that? We sold at 223?
Yes.
Okay. And do we know what that pumps out? What kind does it take to recoup that?
We will, yes, we will recoup that.
So that means all the panels are down now at the high school because of this one unit?
Not all of them.
Oh,
No,
But a
there's three.
substantial amount of them.
okay. And you feel that it's worth spending that much money to recoup it back, we'll make it back in the SRECs?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I should have asked earlier, my bad.
What do you want, 15?
15,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
All right, 15, facilities.
Move.
Second.
15, facilities. Use
I'll
of
second.
facilities.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. 16 through 22, curriculum and training. However, we're going to table number 19
Correct.
on page 7, tabling 19.
Move.
Second.
Roll call. Any discussion? I'm sorry. Go ahead, roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. 23 to 26, transportation and tuitions. Motion?
Move.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. 27 through 32. Others in policy.
Move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. 33 through 34, Hibbs.
Move.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. B, donations. So we need to make the correction that
Yes, Lacey Municipal Alliance.
Lacey Municipal Alliance for the fishing club for the donation. Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second it, Peters.
Discussion? Okay, roll call with the change?
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes, and thank you.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
And Mr. Polino?
Yes, thank you. C, programs and curriculum. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Second. Oh, you had one? Go ahead.
Do we get a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes, I just had one question. Dr. Pereira, how can 8 people observe, excuse me, one teacher at a time?
It's not all at the same time, so they're going to be coming in for an hour, then the next day or the day after that, the next person, the next person. They're very short observations,
All
not
right.
all on the same day.
Thank you.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. D, professional days and workshops. Motion?
Move.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes, but I'm abstaining on any for Mr. Zelinski or Tim Dow.
Thank you. Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. E, certificated personnel 1 through 20. And if I draw your attention to number 5, it's on page 12. Under Ms. Purpurai, we're taking out Esser.
Yes.
Esser Fund.
Correct.
And she's here.
She's back.
So we'll recognize you, Dr. Purpurai, once we vote on you. How's that? Okay, can we get a motion? Yes?
Yes, move.
Second.
Discussion, yes.
ahead, discussion.
Just congratulations to Christine Russell. She's been with us a long time. She's retiring from Lenoka Harbor School.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes, and congratulations.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes, so wait. E is what number from what to what?
11.
1 to 20?
Yeah, we're on to
Yes.
20, and
Yeah, I have to abstain on number 15.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
yes. So now that you're here, why don't you introduce our...
So, Dr. Purpurai joins us as the Lacey Township High School Supervisor of Guidance. You and I have had many conversations because not only are you being appointed tonight, but you were formerly here as a guidance counselor at Lacey Township High School. So we welcome you, we look forward to working with you. I never like to put candidates on the spot, but if you would like to say a few words, the floor is yours.
I will just say for the record that I am so honored to be a Lacey Mine and to come home, so thank you.
Oh, good. We're glad.
Welcome aboard. Very nice. Letter F, non-certificated personnel, number 1 through 8.
I'll move. Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. And walk-on?
Yes.
We have 2 walk-ons?
So walk-on number 1 is affirmation of a HIB determination. Move that the Lacey Township Board of Education affirm the superintendent's determination of HIB in the matter regarding student ID 907671. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Armato, Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Sorry. Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
You forgot
Yes.
me.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
I got you. Okay, walk-on number 2 is approval of a settlement agreement. Move that the Lacey Township Board of Education approve the settlement agreement with respect to the State of New Jersey Office of Administration Law docket number OCN L99-22 as discussed in executive session. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes.
Mrs. McAvoy?
Yes.
Mr. Polino?
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
Move.
I'll second.
All in favor? Good night.
Oh, God.
I did that for Alice McAvoy.